just trying to find something. Hopefully that ain't too loud. Okay, so back to the K2 meter. Hopefully y'all can hear me. So to use a K2 meter, when you do an investigation, like I said, you get a baseline, and then always be aware of what that K2 meter is showing as a baseline. And then when you do your investigation and go back to that same spot, and let's say the K2 is lit up and everything, you go, oh, okay, that's normal because that was doing that during the baseline and everything. If you get a spike, um, then it requires a little more attention. Start asking questions and stuff like that. Um, if you get direct answers to your questions by saying, if there's someone here, please light this up to, the third, light up 3 lights, or light up 2 lights, or light up 4 lights, or even 5. Um, you know, ask questions and always try to trip it up. But don't always ask, well, can you please light this up? And everything. Give it a specific amount of lights you want it to light up, because when you do that, then you're dealing with an entity that is intelligent enough to answer you directly, and that helps you be able to do more evidence, capture as well, for EVPs, sudden drops in temperatures. Maybe you can get as much as an object being moved or something like that. Just stuff like that. Now, if you get a spike on the EMF detector and then it completely goes back to your baseline and you don't get it again, then you just had a normal EMF anomaly. That does occur. That's why these things were originally invented, is to track down EMF areas and stuff like that. Also, keep in mind that you can also get a lot of spikes from equipment as well, like an electric panel, TVs, computers, cell phone, but not so much cell phones. Cell phones can trigger it, but just electrical outlets. Anything that requires electricity has the ability to cause a small to medium to even a large EMF spike. Um, that's another reason why you do a baseline. So, but it also can help you later on in your investigation, which I'll get into that, because it's not just about using an EMF to track down paranormal um, entities and stuff like that, but EMFs can also help detect a badly grounded fuse box, so to speak. If you go buy a fuse box, it shouldn't be producing a very high amount of EMF. Now, it's going to cause some, but it should not peg the needle all the way up and constantly keep it there. And the reason why the reason why I say this is because there are some claims when you do an investigation in homes, private houses, and whatnot. There are claims that when they are in the basement or in a room that has that, uh, main fuse box and all that stuff, some people get the feeling of dread, get paranoid. Uh, they get the chills. They get sick and dizzy. They get headaches. They feel as though somebody's watching them. Um, it's just they just feel uneasy and everything like that. And the reason behind that is they are sensitive to a high EMF field. That causes all those issues. But a lot of people don't realize that. Instead, they associate it with paranormal because of the creepy feeling they get behind it. The paranoia portion of it. The somebody's looking over my shoulder type feeling. So it's always important to do due diligence, listen to your clients, and just take notes. If they say, okay, this specific room here, I don't. This is where I feel the worst. This is where I feel the most uneasy, and like that. Look at your surroundings. Do your walkthrough with the client during daylight hours so you can see all this without having to focus in the dark. Um, Look to see if there's some type of source of natural EMF coming from a specific piece of equipment that could explain what is actually going on, and it's not actually something paranormal. It's just a reaction. This person is having a reaction to a high EMF field, and you believe it or not, it is quite common to come across in the paranormal field. uh, I can't tell you how many times I have come across that in several of my investigations. um, it's just part of doing your due diligence. Um, and, and a lot of times, when you don't get anything else in the entire place, it's just that one room that overwhelmed this person that made him think that, hey, there's something paranormal here. In reality, it's just them having a bad reaction to a high EMF field that is being produced naturally. um, there are instances where it's not just electronic equipment causing the paranormal, causing the EMF fields to spike, but there are natural things out there that can also spike up EMF fields, and like quartz. If you live on a ground that's rich with quartz, that can have specific spikes in certain areas and like that. If you have an underground ancient river or water source flowing underground or nearby, or that cuts through nearby your property, there's opinions out there that say that actually can cause um, EMF fields to come rise up naturally as well. And with the theory out there that entities are attracted to the EMF fields because they require that EMF, electromagnetic field, they require that in order to produce um, sounds, drop temperatures. That's their energy, that's their blood, that's their heartbeat on the paranormal side of things. Without it, a lot of opinions, and I'm not saying this is confirmed because all of this is theory and speculation and the opinions of others, including myself. Um, but the theory is that these entities cannot do anything without some type of EMF uh, field out there for them to take in order to produce sounds and EVPs, anything paranormal related, manifest, but apparitions, which is the same as manifest, but apparitions, whether it be a full body apparition or not, disembodied voices, which you know that's form of an EVP. All of that requires some type of energy for this entity to do. So you need that um, for anything. Again, it comes full circle to do your due diligence. Make sure you do a complete perimeter check of the area that you're doing, and then also do the walkthrough of the centralized, just the entire thing. Get a baseline so you know exactly what the EMF is doing there, whether it's a natural spike, if it's generated from an electrical source like a TV, microwave, refrigerator, outlets, any of that stuff. Keep in mind where that is, because when you do your walkthrough at nighttime doing your investigation, you'll know, say, oh, this is where this spike was, and this is where that spike was. This was, I got the same thing during my my walkthrough. So you'll know exactly what's going on with that. Now, if you don't know what a K2 meter looks like, I can bring one up. And for my friends out there that love to play paranormal games, they'll recognize this thing right off the bat because it's used a lot. It's one of the most common and easily available tool that you can get. And now you don't need to get a K2 meter per se. The K2 meter is a K2 meter, excuse me, is a specific style of an EMF detector. Um, Here we go. Here. So let's just close that down and let me go to my live stream. Okay, so you could all see right above. No, right over here, up there. This is a K2 meter. It says it right on it. K2 EMF meter, um, which is being sold by GhostStop.com, by the way, which is a great website for equipment. I would highly recommend them. But you can see, you got 5 lights. They're all lit up. This little section right here, which you can probably barely see, but right here is where the button gets pushed down, and it's a click type button, so you don't have to hold it down. Now over here you can see one right here. That's the button I'm talking about. You push it down, it clicks into place, it stays down, it stays lit up. The older ones, you would have to physically hold that down the whole time, and that's where you can have problems with fatigue of holding it down. And when your thumb comes up a little bit, it can cause these lights to go up and down sporadically, which makes it appear as though you're getting some type of EMF spike or entity in the area walking by and whatnot. But this is what a K2 meter is. Now, obviously you can tell the green lights, the yellow, orange, and red. Those are the different levels. It's pretty self-explanatory. The green is the lowest you can get, and the red is the highest it can get, which is only within that field. Now, if there was 10 lights or something, who knows? Maybe it can get higher than that. But in general, they use the 5 lights. And that's why I said when you ask questions, tell the entity, ask them, if you're here, light up can you make my K2 meter, the device I'm holding, can you bring the light